So, you quit DnD and now you're curious about Shadowrun. Hello, I'm Joker, I'm your host, and I'll be explaining to you a little bit about what Shadowrun is all about. So, first off, Shadowrun is a role-playing game set in a universe where it's basically set in our reality, in our world, but with a couple of differences. Number one, it's set in the far future, in a cyberpunk future where corporations dominate everything. Number two, there is magic in the world. There's supernatural shit going on. There's energies that connect everything in different ways. And number three, there was a massive event in which about, I would say, 40 to 60% of the human population became some sort of supernatural shit. From trolls to goblins to dwarves, you name it. In the Shadowrun universe, you and your players play as Shadowrunners. What is a Shadowrunner? It's basically a Black Ops operative. It's somebody who's a merc for corpos. You are somebody who does the wet work from the shadows. Again, that's why Shadowrun. In a world where a president was a dragon, and he was a good president, and a world where technology has advanced to the point where it's normal to have cybernetics, but at the same time, a world that is a twisted mirror of ours, where everything that you know has changed. Now, system-wise, Shadowrun has gone through a shit ton of iterations. Okay, going from a simple tabletop RPG that was pretty much D&D in cyberpunk to something more elaborate. Okay, very elaborate. So currently, the current edition, I think it's called. Sorry, I'm looking for the right face. There we go. See, I think it's called Shadowrun: The Sixth World. I think I haven't been able to check it out. I tried to DM from third edition to the anniversary edition. That's like 4 or 5 books. The catch is that every book spans about 10 years. Like every time they release a new book, there is about 5 to 10 years of lore and content. So right now I think they're in 2077 to 2080, I believe. And the first edition was 2020, I believe. That was published back in the 80s. So there's a lot of ground to cover. But don't let the lore overwhelm you. The lore it's very complex, but nobody really pays too much attention to it. It's a game all about assassination, plotting, planning, and see how everything will turn out horribly. It gives me this old experience of trying to recruit a new player for your group because you guys need a shaman or you're missing a sniper. It's a game about how everything that goes well can go wrong. And when it goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong. And yes, there was a Super Nintendo game. It's more, we're playing the soundtrack right now. Now, the game isn't famous for its complexity. If you're used to more complex role-playing games, system-wise, like Mage the Ascension or Wall of Darkness in general, more than Vampire, it's not gonna be too hard. But if it's your first time jumping in, it might take a little bit because it's gonna break your skull. Because in Shadowrun you have many components that you need to keep in mind as a storyteller. You need to understand how to hack, how to summon spirits, how to banish spirits, how magic works, and who has the most cybernetics. The thing about Shadowrun is that number one, it keeps a constant balance between magic and cybernetics. The more cybernetics your character has, the less magic they can do. The less cybernetics you have, the more magic you can do. There's not really classes. The game gives you a general idea of what classes are, but you don't have to marry them. But the classics are Street Samurai, Rager, Otaku, but that was erased. Now there are Technomancers. And if you're a good GM, don't let a Technomancer in your game. That's going to break your game. Deckers, or Console Cowboys. Adept, which is basically a D&D monk. If you're looking for a game where you will run through walls while shooting two guns at the same time, this is for you. If you're looking for a game where your orc will be able to take to shoot a fucking dragon in the face, well, with a sniper rifle, this is your game for you. Just remember, never do deals with the dragon. Trust me. Lore wise, like I said, it's a massive lore, and the system can be a little bit convoluted. The system is powered by the sixes, so it's the most common type of dice, so it won't take you too much. The setting of the book is the sixth world, which is, like I said, a futuristic version of our world where magic is real. And the core setting, the core city where this game is set in, is Seattle. So if you live in Seattle, let your imagination go wild. It touches subjects of racism, of corporations taking over the world, of personal freedoms being erased. So, if you're looking for a cyberpunk version of D&D, Shadowrun is for you. That being said, major differences between this one and D&D. Around the system, there's no really levels. It's a game where you will need to balance out your team. It's not so much focused on personal drama or anything like that. Is there conflict in Shadowrun? Oh shit, yes there is. If you're looking for a combat heavy game, Shadowrun is for you. If you're looking for a game where your player's paranoia will sparkle, Shadowrun is for you. If you like the idea of movies like Snatch, John Wick, The Matrix, by the way, I'm focusing the combat. Tron, movies like Ready Player One with that advanced technology, movies like Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, the anime, of course. Shit, I was gonna say Tokyo Gore Police. Yeah, Tokyo Gore Police. Starship Troopers. We don't go to Chicago anymore. If you're looking for that type of visceral experience, Shadowrun is for you. In a way, it's easier to grasp for players because it's the real world. So it's not like they have to picture a fantasy land far, far away. No. This is Seattle. If you tell them, oh, you're in Seattle, they will understand. The universe is very rich, especially because USA is not 50 states anymore. It's completely divided. It's a world where there's not a masquerade per se. There's nobody to hide truths or whatnot, other than the corporations and the government truths and conspiracies. Like, was Don Kulsan murdered? That's the dragon who was a president. And if so, who did it? Or what happened with the nuclear warheads that were heading to certain parts of USA that went missing? If you know the lore, you know what I mean. As for how much will you have to spend, here's the thing. I haven't read the new editions. I kind of disconnected after the anniversary edition. But based on my experience with the anniversary edition, I had to buy the core book. That's about $40. Then I had to go to the main class books. That's Unwired. That's like $30. Then I went to Street Magic. There's a book about cybernetics. I forgot the name. My Old Rigger. No, My Old Drone, which is a book about droning. Seattle. I spent about $200. Because without the core book, I mean, with just using the core book, that's about $40, and it will give you the bare bones. But the catch about Shadowrun, in my opinion, based on the old books, is that it's a game heavily reliant on source books. Like, you will need to go through the Hacker book. You will need to go through the Magic book to understand how magic operates. If you have read about real occultism, that might help you a little bit. If you have played games like Werewolf the Apocalypse or Mage the Ascension, that's going to help a lot. Because, yeah, magic is very similar to D&D, but then the spiritual aspect of the game where you have the toxic shamans and spirits of toxicity like pollution and radioactivity. Then you have the spirits of order, the spirits of chaos, the higher ends, the lower ends, the ghost world. There's a lot of stuff. But if you want mindless fun to start shooting things in the face, make money, make profit, and then realize that you're going broke, Shadowrun is for you. Another good example for the game is the game Watch Dogs 2. and the first Watch Dogs. They're pretty much like in that note. As for video games, yeah, there is the old SNES, the old Genesis game. There is a couple of Steam games that are pretty fucking good that will help you up to catch up with the lore. If you want an alternative to D&D and an alternative to Cyberpunk Red, Shadowrun it is. But I warn you, as a storyteller, at first it's gonna be clunky, it's gonna be a mess. It's if your GM likes to make maps and plan shit, this is for you. But bear in mind, as a GM, your players will done fucked up. Be ready for any contingency. Your players will trigger an alarm, or somebody's gonna spot them, or maybe they're gonna get the wrong target, or maybe, I don't know, somebody forgot to tell if there was spirits in the place. Something bad will happen. So if you're a perfectionist GM, this game is gonna kill you. If you and your players want to be criminals, if you and your player want to be people of ambiguous morale, this game is for you. If you want to go through that experience of, hey guys, we're missing a shaman, or hey guys, we're missing a heavy weapons guy. Okay, let's go call Carl. He's gonna join the game. Shadowrun is for you. But at the same time, the other thing I will remind you is every edition tries to make the game a little bit easier because they realize how complex it is. In a scale from 1 to 10, how complex it is, I will give it a 6, system-wise. Lore-wise, I will give it a 7. But you can still, with the core book, do wonders, okay? That's my quick Spitfire review of Shadowrun. I'm talking to DnD Heads. If you guys come from other systems, it might be easier for you. But this time, I'm just speaking to people who have only played D&D and haven't come out of their comfort zone. So, yeah. And also, don't be afraid of the lore. That's my biggest recommendation. The lore of the game is massive, but don't be afraid of it. Okay? And as always, I want to wish you a good night and good gaming. If any questions, I'm on Twitch, I'm on Twitter. Any suggestions, go ahead. I might do Deadlands next, maybe. Or I might do some more hopeful things. But yeah. I'll be here if you want recommendations about gaming, you want tips or whatnot, hit me up. I'm on Twitch as Joker019. Good night and good gaming.